Hold up. Wait a minute. I wish you love, peace, and hair grease.
Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Yeah, you know I'm shooting straight from the hip.
This is Carla Renata, a.k.a. The Curvy Critic, and I shoot straight from the hip.
Yeah, you know I'm always shooting straight from the hip.
Hi, everybody. Hello. It's your girl, Carla Renata, a.k.a. The Curvy Film Critic. You know me, I'm always adjusting the light situation. I'm never happy with the light. Never happy with the lights. But anyway, hi, I'm Carla Renata, the Curvy Film Critic, and you have tuned into The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. I come here every Monday night at 5 o'clock, and I do film reviews, and I talk to people above and below the line in the film industry. But before I go on, I usually tell you what my week was like, and then I get into the reviews for this evening, which today are going to be Tar, Till, and Halloween Ends, with interviews from the cast, with a few of the cast members from Halloween Ends, Miss Andi, Miss Andi and Miss Kyle. Okay, because I'm like, ooh, my brain is like, meow. Anywho. So, but before I get into that, I just want to see what my boy Brandon is doing, because you know he always got something to say. And he says that he wanted to pop in and say hello. He's on week 5 of his animation courses on Wednesday, and saw the first 2 episodes of the new season of My Hero Academia. And that first Mario trailer was great. It was good, right? And he loves Illumination. I love Illumination Studios too, Brandon. They do some really stellar work. All right, so now that I have gone into what my boy Brandon is talking about, let me tell you what I did. So last night, I went to the Mary J. Blige concert, Living My Entire Life. It was so awesome being in a stadium full of women. And this ain't got nothing to do with film, but it was so awesome being in a stadium full of women that are just living out and singing every anthem that she's ever given us in life ever. And it was just awesome to be able to experience that with her. She was in great form. She sang her face off. You know how she do. She Mary be messing us up on the regular all the time, but that's why we love her, right? So let me see. Having said that, I also had an opportunity to go to the premiere of Till. And I'd seen it before, like I told you guys. I saw it during the film festival at Toronto, and I'll talk about it a little bit later, but I'll have my thoughts about that a little bit later. And then I went to this thing called Birdie Fest, which is something that's in celebration of Catherine called Birdie. And y'all remember me talking to Lena Dunham and how we kind of bonded, because I'm the curvy critic and she's the curvy filmmaker. Well, needless to say, I was coming in and she was going out, and she was like, we got to take a selfie. So of course we did our selfie situation and got our mutual sister society all the way on. I love her. I just love me some Lena Dunham. She's unapologetically her, and I can wholeheartedly relate to that. So let me get into these movies. Now, the first movie that I want to get into is this film called Tar. It stars Cate Blanchett, and she plays a conductor. It is being released by Focus Features. It was released rather nationwide on Friday, October 7th, through Focus Features. And Todd Fields is the director, writer, and producer of this film. Now, Cate Blanchett plays renowned musician Lydia Tarr, who is days away from recording the symphony that will elevate her career. When all elements seem to conspire against her, Lydia's adopted daughter Petra becomes an integral emotional support for her struggling mother. And when I say she's struggling, baby, she's struggling within an inch of her life. It's a whole situation going on. But let me tell you about Miss Cate Blanchett's performance. This picture right here of her conducting, when I tell you Kate Blanchett, this is a groundbreaking performance for her. It's all encompassing. She uses her whole entire body to embrace this character, and she delivers the longest cinematic monologue I have ever seen in my life at the beginning of this film. But it is magnetic, and you can't take your eyes off of her and what she's explaining as she goes on to explain how a conductor keeps time, which the information alone is fascinating. There's beautiful, beautiful cinematography. There's a very haunting score. And it begs the question of, is being accused, is being accused the same as being guilty, right? It's dealing with a little bit of a Me Too situation in this film. And so it really does beg that question. If someone is accused as guilty, does that necessarily make them guilty, right? It doesn't necessarily make them guilty. But when I tell you, Kate Blanchett is doing the daggone thing. I mean, it is amazing what she does in this role. Who's talking to me? Brandon. And he says he's also working on more of his web comic. Well, Brandon, I always love when you pop by. I always love um, when you pop in because, you know, I like to hear about your progress and I like to support you the same way that you support me. All right. So, what was I talking about? I was about to start talking about Till. Whew, baby, Till. So, Till is released by United Artists Orion in conjunction with MGM Pictures. It is directed by Chenoya Chukwu and is written by Chenoya and Keith Beauchamp. It stars Danielle Deadweiler, Jalen Hall, Sean Patrick Thomas, and Roger Guinevere Smith. This film deals with the true story of Mamie Till Mobley Bradley's relentless pursuit of justice for her 14-year-old son, Emmett Till, who was brutally lynched in 1955 while visiting his cousins in Mississippi. A lot of people are going to have issues with this film simply based on its subject matter, but I'm here to tell you something that my sister Chenoya would tell you. This is not a film that is going to glorify nor show violence toward Black lives on screen. As a matter of fact, one of the scenes, well, one of the most integral scenes dealing with Emmett's demise is seen from a complete pull out, and you see one little light burning in the cabin and all you hear is what's going on. You don't see any of it, you hear it, but hearing it is terrifying enough. And actually hearing it makes the imagination imagine something probably a lot worse than what we could ever imagine it being. So let me say that from the outset. um, this is also the story of how a mother's love changed, transformed a nation, but inspired a movement, because it was Mamie Till fighting for justice for her son Emmett Till that spearheaded the civil rights movement, the same civil rights movement that we're trying to protect now in 2022. Um, the lynching bill was just passed earlier this year. Emmett Till was murdered in 1955. I'm just gonna let that sink in for a second. That lets you know the more things change, the more they stay the same. This is a very important piece of cinema. I had the opportunity, like I said earlier in the broadcast, to go to the premiere where I ran into my sister Chenoya and gave her all the props and love that she deserves. If she looks familiar, or if her name sounds familiar to you, you will remember her from a film a few years back called Clemency with Aldous Hodge and Alfre Woodard, where Alfre Woodard played a female warden at a prison where she was grappling with having to watch people's lives be taken every day, guilty or not. So if you have not seen Till, I suggest you see her work in Clemency first and then go check out Till. This is Danielle Deadweiler, who plays Mamie. That is Jalen Hall in the middle, who plays Emmett Till, and of course the director. And then this is a picture of Miss Danielle Deadweiler as she is inhabiting Mamie Till. When I tell you, this is the most, other than Kate Blanchett and Tar, this is the most engaging, the most spot on well acted performance of the year. Danielle Deadweiler is doing the daggum thing, and she is doing it within an inch of her life, looking wonderfully fashionable in the process. And that is totally due to the team behind the film. You know, I always say actors are nothing, directors are nothing, a script is nothing without the production designers, the costume designers, the sound designers, the prop people, everybody that works on that set helps bring that vision to life, I should say. So I just want to put that out there. All right. But I also want to say that if you are on the fence about watching Till, I highly suggest that you check it out. It is totally worth your time. It is totally worth it to sit down and watch with your family or to take your family to the theater. It is being released this Friday on October 14th. Again, it is directed. Oh, let me just say this before I give you the last bit of information. In addition to this film being directed by a Black woman, being written by Keith Beauchamp and Chinoya Chukwu, who are a Black woman and a Black man, a Creole Black man. Keith has been championing this film for years to get it to the silver screen alongside Whoopi Goldberg, who has fought for 10 years to get the story made, and she plays Mamie's mother in the film. I cannot impress upon you enough. The more things change, the more they stay the same. We cannot correct history if we keep repeating it. And there were some cities and states in America, even in 2022, that was still employing the method of lynching to take a Black life. Having said that, please do yourselves a favor and check the film out and support these filmmakers. The studio, Alana Mayo is the head of the studio. She, along with another woman, like this is all brought to the forefront through a total mostly female vantage point. And I think because it is done that way, it will have an impact that people are not going to expect. So again, it drops on Friday, October 14th. Please do yourselves a favor and check it out. All right. You know, I had to save the scariest for last. So y'all know I am not the horror buff. I am not that girl. But I do like horror films and thriller films that are produced by Blumhouse Productions because I know that if they are behind it, I could probably take at least half of the film and watch it, right? So they have teamed up with Universal Pictures to bring us Hollywood, why I keep saying Hollywood? Halloween is, ooh, child. Halloween is directed and co-written by David Gordon. It stars Jamie Curtis reprising her role for the final time as Laurie, Kyle Richards, who's playing Lindsay Wallace and has been doing so since 8 years old, and Andi Matichak, who plays Laurie's granddaughter. And it picks up with, and this is Kyle, so I'll show you a picture of Kyle in a minute, but it picks up with so 4 years later, after her last encounter with Michael Myers, Laurie is living with her granddaughter, Allison, and trying to finish her memoir. Michael Myers hasn't been seen since the last time, and Laurie has finally decided to liberate herself from the rage and fear and embrace life as opposed to living under a cloud of fear at every single turn. However, a young man, Corey, who stands accused of murdering a young boy that he was babysitting, ignites a cascade of violence and terror that forces Laurie to confront the evil she cannot control, which brings the question of, does evil die or does it just change shape? Do you believe in the boogeyman? I don't know. I know I believe in the boogeyman because I was telling Kyle in the interview, I looked up at the ceiling the other night, honey, and thought I saw the Grim Reaper on the ceiling in the shadows. I'm like, I'm doing way too much. That was after I saw Halloween. That's what I get. But this is the last film in the Halloween franchise. There have been 13, lucky number 13, films in this franchise. It is one of the horror films that kicked off the new, I want to say the new millennium of horror films. For a whole nother generation, as opposed to, like, the Frankenstein movies and all those things back then. But I think Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Halloween were like a whole new brand of scary for a whole different generation. And that generation has helped 13 of these bad boys get to the silver screen. Let's just say that. Because that bears talking about. But I interviewed Andi and I interviewed Kyle. Oh, before I show you that, I want to show you this little tidbit of video that I caught of Miss Myrlie Evers Williams. Myrlie Evers is the widow of Medgar Evers, who was shot down in his driveway, I think 9 months after he drove Mamie Till to Mississippi. He was shot down dead in his driveway, and Myrlie became one of the mothers of the movement. And there were quite a few of them there this evening. But this, if you don't take anything else away from Till, I want you to take a look and a listen to this, okay?
As much as they should have. There is still a major job to be done in these United States of America. And basically, it's going to be left up to all of us to do something about it. Don't think that you can skip out. Because if you do, it's going to catch up with you one way or the other. In 1963, June the 12th, my husband, Medgar Evers, was shot down at the doorstep of our home, with our 3 children running out crying, "Daddy, get up, Daddy, get up." But Daddy could not get up. But Daddy had done his job. He had done his job.
Yes, he had, and we will continue to do his job for him. Thank you, Miss Myrlie Evers Williams, for coming and blessing us and gracing us with your presence at the Till premiere. It is a moment I shall not soon forget. All right, let's get back into Halloween. So I talked to Andi and Kyle Richards, and you may know Kyle from, I think she's one of the Real Housewife franchise, but there she is. Isn't she gorgeous? But I want you all to take a look and a listen, first and foremost, to this interview that I did with Andi first, and then we'll get to Kyle, where I asked them both about the boogeyman.
He killed my daughter, but tonight I will kill him. Come and get me.
Hey, Miss Andi.
Hi.
Look at you. You're gorgeous. You're gorgeous. I can't even handle you right now. Sister, do you believe in the boogeyman? Or have you ever believed in the boogeyman?
I think that what we've learned in these last 3 movies is you can never discount the boogeyman.
So is that a yes or a no?
The boogeyman definitely exists. Evil takes shape in many, many forms.
Which brings me to this. So there's a character. Laurie at some point says that evil doesn't die, it just changes shape. How do you feel about that?
I think that when you look at the world, it's pretty clear. Evil, even if you get rid of one thing that is causing trauma and bringing darkness, there's another that'll pick it back up. I mean, just open the news. It's everywhere. It's endless. And that's part of what I think that is a sentiment to, is evil doesn't die. It just changes shape.
That part. What has it felt like for you to be a part of this iconic franchise? This is like Halloween literally started the horror franchise, so to speak, the modern day horror franchise, I should say. So what has it meant to you to have been a part of it for this long?
It's a once in a lifetime experience that I have been grateful enough to live now 3 times over. And to, like you said, to get to be a part of a franchise, but not just a franchise, not just a horror movie, one of the most pinnacle horror movies of all time, it's pretty incredible. And to do it alongside Jamie Lee Curtis and Kyle Richards and Judy Greer and all of these heavyweights in the industry, David Gordon Green, McBride, all these people that have really brought it to life, it's been a dream come true.
Well, you're no slouch yourself. Let's just say that, because you were doing the daggone thing. I was like, well, okay, all right. You better bring the fire, Miss Andi. But this is what I also want to know from you. Your relationship with Corey, it was so sweet and it was so touching and loving. How did Allison feel about falling for this dude who clearly had this other side, and she couldn't ascertain if it was always there or if it was invoked.
One of the things that I think works so well in the relationship with Allison and Corey is that they really understand each other in a way that no one else can. And you look at these two people, and they've both been incredibly ostracized by the town of Haddonfield. Allison put maybe a little bit more on a pedestal, looked at as this heroic survivor, and then you have Corey, who is really an outcast and seen as a total pariah in town. But they're still both ostracized, and everyone is still looking at them and turning their heads when they walk by and being like, that's the girl, that's the guy. Like, it still exists, whether people think they're doing it for the better or for the worse. And it was interesting kind of playing with the idea of other people taking your personal pain and trauma and turning it into something that they can also latch onto. And Allison and Corey are able to have a really honest and open relationship that gets very deep very quickly, because they both meet each other halfway of just being like, I don't know, let's just try to figure it out, and let's just try to be happy and connect.
I think that was a perfect way to sum that relationship up. I got all of that, but I just wanted to get your opinion about it to see if it was a little different, or maybe there was a slight, skew there. But I want to thank you in taking time to speak with me, Andi. I enjoyed your performance in this film very, very much. You're so rooted and so grounded, and I believed every single solitary second that you were on screen. So thank you for this opportunity, and hopefully we'll meet again somewhere down the road to talk again.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Oh, you're welcome. So she was lovely, but she kicks butt in that movie. I do not exaggerate when I say that. All right. And without further ado, this is going to be a short show today, y'all, because it's a whole bunch of films that's about to drop, and I got to get to that. But yeah, let's get to this last interview with Miss Kyle Richards from Halloween Ends, where we also talk about the Boogeyman, but we also talk about her working with Jamie Lee Curtis one last time. Hi, how you doing?
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. You look beautiful and all sparkly there.
Oh, I'm trying, girl. Trust me, it was a struggle.
It's working.
Thank you. I just want to know, did you ever believe in a boogeyman growing up? Do you still?
Are you kidding me? I am the biggest chicken you've ever met in your life. And it's probably to do with how many horror films I've done, actually. After seeing myself in this movie, the original one, when I was a little girl, I had to sleep with my mom until I was 15 years old. And I slept with a light on my entire life. I still like to have a little light on. I always think there's a boogeyman. I'm one of those people who gets in my car and thinks there's someone in the back seat.
Why did I look on my ceiling last night and thought I saw the shadow of the Grim Reaper on the ceiling? I'm just saying.
That's what I would do.
Like you.
Yeah. Don't take me in any attic. Nobody goes into an attic. No way. Or a basement.
Oh, girl. No. How does it feel for you, though, having been a part of this franchise for so long, to be ending this chapter of your cinematic career?
It feels, well, this chapter, yes.
Yes, this chapter, not your career.
Yeah. It feels very surreal, and I'm so incredibly grateful to think that I started this when I was 8 years old. Jamie Lee Curtis and doing this movie, and now here all these years later to still be in these movies, and people still caring to see these movies and invested in the characters, and to be able to be in them all the way through to the end is I'm incredibly grateful. It's not lost on me how rare that is.
Yeah, it's extremely rare, and I'm happy for you, because as an actress, honey, I know how hard it is to get a gig and keep a gig. So I understand.
Yeah, thank you.
I understand. There's a line or an adage rather that says, "Evil doesn't die; it just changes shape." I think Jamie Lee's character says that. How do you feel about that statement? Do you think that evil doesn't die and that it just changes shape after having been part of this franchise and in Halloween, where we've seen that sometimes that's the case and sometimes it isn't?
I feel like I have my own interpretation of that. I feel like it can be, contagious in a way. I think that, in society you'll see that, So it is kind of scary. I think that's why people have to be really. I'm taking it like to a deeper level now, but
Go ahead, girl. I got some
responsible
time.
about what we do and we put out there because it can be contagious. And there's lots of forms of evil. It's not just serial killers. So
That's true.
yeah. So I do believe in that in my own, like I said, from my own my own version of that.
So for people that have seen the entire franchise and still have this one yet to go, what do you want to tell those people?
I think they're going to love it. I mean, we don't want to see it end, but if it has to end, this is the way it has to be. And they're going to be scared. I think they're going to love the storyline, the characters. There's a new actor in the film, Rowan, that is incredible. And I think they're not going to be disappointed. I flew out of my seat probably, I don't even know how many times, screamed at the top of my lungs.
Girl, there's a couple of times that I jumped in. I am not the horror movie fan, but I was like, let me go ahead and watch this so I can be prepared. But baby, there was a couple of times where I was like this. I'm a big old wuss when it comes to this genre.
I know. I know. And that's why we have to sleep with the lights on after.
Girl, how about I got night lights everywhere? I'm just saying, casting shadows looking like the Grim Reaper. But thank you so much for your time, Kyle. This was lovely. I'm sorry that it's taken this long for us to have a conversation, but I hope we have many more moving forward.
Oh, I would love that. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome. Bye.
Bye.
Okay, you guys, that does it for the interviews with Halloween Ends. I finally said it right. Lord, my mouth is finally starting to work. Again, it's produced by Blumhouse Productions in tandem with Universal Pictures. It is directed and co-written by David Gordon, and it stars Jamie Lee Curtis, Kyle Richards, and Andi Matichak one more time in their roles in this franchise, and it will hit theaters and on Peacock this Friday, October 14th. What also hits this Friday, October 14th is Till. I've said enough about that one. And then what is in theaters right now that was released nationwide on October 7th is Tar with Cate Blanchett. Let me just reiterate those films for you one more time. Till, which is coming to you on October 14th. You can also catch Catherine Called Birdie is streaming right now on Prime Video. And the incomparable Cate Blanchett starring in Tar, which hit theaters and has been in theaters since October 7th. All right. So that does it for this edition or this episode of The Curvy Critic with Carla Renata. If this is your first time joining me, baby, give me a big thumbs up to let me know you are here. Click that bell below for notifications if you are on the YouTube, if you are on Facebook or LinkedIn. Please subscribe to the channel. I will have some people from Black Adam here next week. And I'm still working. That special guest was supposed to come today. Some things didn't quite work out, but I'm still going to work on getting that special guest here. And I'm working on some articles that I am really excited to tell you about, but I can't say what they are right now. And some panels that I'm working for. Oh, I do want to tell you about this panel. I am working on the Grill. The Wrap has a thing called, the Grill is in conjunction with the Wrap. And the Wrap is a trade paper, and they have a diversity panel every year as part of their 2-day festival. And myself and Jacqueline Coley from Rotten Tomatoes will be hosting and co-hosting a panel that includes Asif Sadiq, who is the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer for Warner Brothers Discovery, Jamila Daniel, who is the Chief Diversity Officer at Lionsgate and Senior Vice P of Human Resources at Starz, Janine Jones-Clark, who is the EVP of Inclusion, Talent and Content for the NBC Universal Group, Janelle English, who is the EVP of Impact and Inclusion at the Academy of Motion Picture Arts and Sciences, Olga Segura, who is the co-founder of Latinx House, Gabby Mina, who is a partner at M88, Lacey Wright, who is the executive director of Lena Waite's Hillman Grad Foundation, and Elizabeth Gray Bain, who is a board member for the Global Institute for Black Girls in Film, Video, and Media. I will put a link up in my social media so that if you want to click onto that and watch the shenanigans, you are more than welcome. But until next week, when I come back with some Black Adam action and a couple of more movies to talk about, that is it for this episode of The Curvy Critic with Carla Nada. Thank you so much for joining me. You know I love having you here, whether you're live or not. As long as you watch and share the word, honey, that's all I care about. And I can't believe it's the end of the year. We about to get into November. Ain't that a blip? At any rate, thank you again for joining me. And I'll catch you on the flip side. Deuces and love, peace, and hair grease, baby.